I said, is that it? He says, actually, you control all the back. I said, okay. Anything else? He said, one last thing. I guess, we have 4 questions. He has 4 answers. He says, the last thing is the fact that you guys are greedy. All you do is care about money. I said, okay. I said, let's talk. I wound up, how when you speak to certain people, so I know when I live on Spadina Road, I know when I pass by Parkville Public School, that's when I start closing down my conversation with my mother. Anyone I'm having a long conversation with. And that way you can basically hang up as you pull into your driveway. You timed exactly when to sort of close the conversation. Why not? I got into my driveway, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. My kids are outside banging on the window. Abba's home, Abba's home, Abba's home. I spent an hour with this guy on the phone. Where I tell you exactly, the exact precise conversation with him. And I don't know if he's a philo-Semite at this point, but the guy moved mountains. I'd like to share with you an idea. And really this idea is at the kernel of how I tackled and unpacked the conversation I had with this anti-Semite. So probably the most basic question of the famous Lag BaOmer story is, what is the lesson? What is the lesson, Rabbi RASHBI leaving the cave? What is the lesson for us that we're supposed to go? So just to familiarize again with the story, RASHBI, Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Yehuda were talking about the Romans. The Romans did this, and the Romans did that. They built marketplaces. And Rabbi Yehuda said, well, they did good things. Rabbi Yossi was quiet, and RASHBI said, no, they did it only for themselves. They built the tolls, the bridges, only for taxes, the ulmad, etc. So Yehuda Ben Ger went down and he spoke to people, and the WhatsApp and the chatter, blah blah blah. It gets to Rome, and Rome decides to do the following. Now, Rabbi Yehuda, you're going to be elevated. Rabbi Yossi, you can fight, you get kicked out to Tzipori, and RASHBI, we're going to put a bullseye on your head, right? Anyone that gets it, RASHBI gets a bounty, and RASHBI has to die. So first of all, it's very interesting that we have in many Gemaras, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon are always arguing about, especially in the study of Davar Shein and Mistabeh, about what is the ultimate value? What is the value? Is the value the intent by Davar Shein and Mistabeh, or is the value the outcome? And it seems that here Rabbi Yehuda says, listen, the outcome is they did good things. Rabbi Yehuda is more of a Davar Shein and Mistabeh outcome guy. And RASHBI is more of an intent guy. If you didn't intend, then you did nothing. What does RASHBI do? Amazing, he hides in the basement. Now, if I was hiding from the police, I'm just saying, if the police were after me, right, I would not be hiding in my shul. That's probably the first place they check. Maybe he was so smart, RASHBI, that he figured the last place they would check was the shul. So where does he hide? He hides in the shul. Now, again, he's hiding in the shul the first couple of weeks or months. I don't know how long it was. But who does he ask to bring him food? His wife. If they're tailing anyone, right, they're tailing his wife. And yet he tells his wife to bring him food. Okay, it's unbelievable. RASHBI's so brilliant, but he hides in the shul and his wife brings him food. Then he realizes, hey, they might torture my wife. So he runs to the cave. He runs to the cave with the son. 12 years there. Carob tree, fascinating. The carob tree is something that only you have to wait 70 years for, and he gets it right away. He gets the shefa right away. Amazing. And then he goes out, and of course, what happens when he goes out? He looks at the farmer, and the farmer turns into French. Right? He gets burned to Christmas. That's why I said yeah. So he goes back in another year, and then Elio says, "Now you can go out." Rabbi Lazar, his son, Rabbi Lazar is hurting people when he sees them, but RASHBI is healing. Ultimately, they see someone who's bringing 2 adasim for Shabbos, one for Zachar and one for Shamar, and Rabbi RASHBI is very proud of this person, and everything worked out to the extent that after, if you follow the story in Lamed Gimel, he goes to his father-in-law. Some people say it wasn't his father-in-law, he was the father-in-law, but Pinchas ben Yair, who before the cave episode was his teacher, and after the cave episode, which was a long episode, 13 years, mind you, Rav Shimon becomes the Rebbe in that relation. So what's the lesson? And you should know, the lesson is the lesson for life. when we were building the shul in Forest Hill, there was something was happening on Shabbos. It was the Shabbos before the Sunday of our grand opening. Grand opening was one of the most look forward to days of my life. And my parents were coming in. Then there was a very, very fine mayor, John Corey, that was speaking at my event. One of the highlights of the event, a couple of highlights of this amazing parade, we marched from the old shul above Starbucks to the new shul, where we are now, was the fact that I had a big sign reserved for the mayor, big sign on a seat. And a lady plopped down in the seat in the shul, and she sat down. I said, "Excuse me, it's reserved for the mayor." And I'm trying to get her. There's no seat in this one. And this is reserved for the mayor. She said, "Find another seat. This bubby's sitting here, and she's not moving." So that was my first memory of this amazing event. The other memory, I can't even say because there was a member of parliament that didn't realize it was an Orthodox event when she came over to thank. But that's for another time. And it was Arab. It was on top, right across the shul, and I saw something going on in the shul, and I wasn't sure whether it was halakhically right or wrong for this thing to take place. Now, I was very happy that this thing was being done because there was a parade the next day. We were going to be on the news, and this thing needed to be done. And I told the workers, "Get this done before Shabbos. Sundays are parade. Get this done. Get this done. Get this done." And sure enough, they didn't get it done. The guy promised. Suddenly, and I see something to take. And here, I don't know if you remember the Flintstones with Kazoo, at the good side and the bad side of Mr. Flintstone, a dum-dum, if you remember, and they go there and tell this person to stop. It might be Morris Ryan, it just didn't feel good to me. And then the other side of me said, "Ellie, you just happened to see it. Nothing's going on. It's probably a worker going in to get their hammer and nails and leaving." And this was my internal dialogue. Should I say something? Should I? Hashem, what do you want? So as I'm sitting there, my children are playing Uno on the court, and they say, "Abba, look what that person's doing." You go over and tell them to stop. They're probably doing something in the shul they shouldn't be doing. I said, "I don't know. I'll tell you, I don't know if this is the right religious profession, but I looked the other way." And I said, "I don't really know what they're doing." Look, they're doing, I keep them back to Uno. I went back in the house. And Sunday came. It was such a happy day in my life. Built that for so long. But I didn't enjoy the Sunday because I knew deep down that maybe I should. And this steak, it was eating me up. And mamash, I'm a guy to simcha, and I was mamash broke. My wife said 2-3 weeks later, says, "Go to your Rebbe and tell him what." So 3 weeks later, knock on Rabbi Lowy's door, and down there, great simcha, I tell him what. And what he said was, of course, you can imagine Rabbi Lowy. He said, "Ellie, get out of the city, don't come ever here." When Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was in the cave for 12 years, he was filled with passion, filled with so much Torah. This is the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that asked him very sharp from the Asaf. Remember, this is the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that studied 13 years with Rabbi Akiva, with his wife at home. We know Rabbi Akiva's story, but that's Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's story. This is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that when Rabbi Akiva was in jail, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, "Rebbe, if you don't teach me Torah now, I'm going to have my father make your life more tsaristic when you're in jail." This is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that was at the tumult of the most famous fight, the famous machlekes in yeshiva history. It was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that danced with his Marav Rashus, his Marav Chova. Rabbi Gamliel says this, Rabbi Hush says this, and they dethrone Rabbi Gamliel from being the head of the yeshiva, the most famous tumult in the history of the yeshiva movement. And who was the Talmud that started this? Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi K is a passion for Torah. The Rabbi K, the first 12 years, only had the Torah of being a Talmud, the Torah of black and white. We know so when we're trying to dialogue with our kids and our teenagers. Abba, if this kid doesn't have a yarmulke like me, he's a guy. That's right. If this and this and this, it's black, it's white, you're with me, you're against me. No nuance. And that's the Torah of a Talmud. Comes Rabbi Shimon out of the cave, and he sees someone doing that mentioned thing. He's making a parnasa. But the Torah of a Talmud, the passion, the fire of a Talmud, can't adjust that. And then says, go back to the cave another year, year 13. And when he came out, what did he possess? He possessed the Torah of a Rebbe. He possessed the Torah of nuance. Seeing people where they are, not judging them with such a black and white picture. Saying, you know what, you're a decent guy. You know, sometimes people in my shul, they talk during daf. So I'm sitting there and saying, all right, I should probably tell him to shush. First of all, I hate the noise. Shh. I outlawed that. I never shush people in my shul. Baruch Hashem, 20 years. I go like this to them, but I feel the shush makes a lot of. My dad told me that one time when he got in Thsi in Behar Bechukosai, there was a very famous shusher, and he shushed every Shabbos. He was shushing people left and right. And then one time he was standing next to someone, and the guy says to the shusher, he says, "You know what your Gehenna is? Your Gehenna is in 120 years, you're going to be nifter, and you're going to go to a shul when no." I don't shush. I put my fingers to my mouth. I build the noise so loud. But sometimes I think, you know what? He's going over to a lonely person. He's giving a Shalom Aleichem. How you doing? The Talmud, trade. The Torah of a Rebbe, there's nuance. Not everything is black. That's the Torah of Shimon Bar Yochai. And that's Rabbi Lowy. It came to 3 weeks after. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. There's nuance. There's tomorrow. Your combination. There's good and bad, and just be the simple. It's a special day in your life. And maybe things got the best of you. You know, it's even tough to say. That's the Torah of a Rebbe. Shimon Bar Yochai's life after the cave wasn't a need for a rainbow. Why? Because Shimon Bar Yochai was the rainbow. He saw all the hues, all the colors of every person. Not everything was black and white. Just want to end off with Rabbi Ari Khan's idea. This is the sort of his brush was from Rabbi Ari Khan. Rabbi Ari Khan says that Hillel had 80 grades, right? The top 30 were like shlita, like Moshe. The top third, the bottom third were to stop the sun, like Yeshua. The middle 20, who was from the bottom of the 80? The great Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. How great was he? Oh, he knew Gemara, he knew Mishnah, he knew Gemara, he knew how to speak to Malachim, he knew to speak to Shadim, he knew to speak to date tree, he knew stuff. And who was the top? Of course, Yonasan ben Uziel. And how great was he that when a bird passed over his head, it burned. The Ari Khan is a beautiful cut. So they asked the Thsi, if that's how great Yonasan ben Uziel was, how great was Hillel? Thsi says, beautiful, like Etil was so great that when the bird went over him, it didn't get it. That's the Hillel. That's Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, not the lesson I learned. You know, when this guy, after our conversation, and I spoke to him about many things, here's was the nakuda he picked up. And here's the nakuda I want to leave. I said, we can talk blue in the face about all these different things, all your things. But he said, Rabbi, I have to give. You spoke to me, treated me like a mensch. You answered the question. You weren't offended. He spoke to me as a person. I don't know if I won any argument he had, because he was well versed and well trained. He was raised by Mamish, like very firm anti-Semite. I didn't win him with my arguments. I won him over by how giving him space. Hashem should bless. Mamish learned the lesson from him by lesson I learned a couple weeks after the greatest quote unquote day of my life. And we should learn from Hillel that the greatness is not the prayer and the passion, and not to leave your passion. passion of being a Rebbe and seeing nuance, passion of being a parent, a grandparent, seeing nuance, and being a neighbor and being someone in shul and seeing nuance. Don't lose the passion. Just transform your passion from a student to a Rebbe, and that, my friend, makes all the difference.
Right.
But impressive. Like you said, students of the rest. Yeah. I from the
Glad you made it back.
Welcome back. I'm 9 people.
Right.
Yeah. There's a guy who had a knock. He says to me, you mind coming up with me? Okay.
Yeah.
The guy's coming to shul. He doesn't consider it. And he even brings it up.
Right.
And the rabbi's not singing.
Yes.
Yeah. The guy couldn't help it. Maybe there was a different way. Guy was in his house. He had his and he was busy looking at his food. Came to the shul. He was doing his shul on a hard bench. I'm waiting for this. He was a minion. Yeah, would give him the hand it to that.
Right. Exactly. That's that's it.
No, it's everything
mentioned. Right. Always have to a little leeway.
in the initial or value 11 record. And if it can pay off. But whatever. I was putting the oil on the wheel.
I was that guy.
It's crazy.
Dylan was so he went down. Why does the microphone?
Even when they oil the elsewhere.
I like to think about. I like that.
You should only see the good. And the Abishter does see the good.
Everyone is saying about restoring.
The Abishter is hiding.
It's not this for. Huh?
You
don't have. What's up? Yeah, I like to think about wrist. That was good. Thanks for walking. Yeah, no, it's not. There's times. You have to just like a spice. You're on. You were on or you were there? I was trying to start off. I know what? I'm not high. I was trying to talk about. Yeah.